Former Vice President Joe Biden just released that announcement.
Joe Biden is now a 2020 presidential candidate.
Biden will enter this race as the front runner.
I know Joe. We know Joe. But most importantly, Joe knows us.
Candidates coalescing around Joe Biden.
His campaign made history.
Joe Biden has selected Kamala Harris as his running mate.
This is your campaign.
Now's the time to fight for what we believe in.
The 2020 presidential election is less than 2 months away.
The presidential race is tied.
This election is in no way predetermined, and it's going to be close.
Yeah.
We have got to vote like our lives depend on it.
Welcome to this Biden-Harris campaign event, Senator Sanders' GOTV rally with Michigan college students. Please welcome Lee Richardson.
Hi, it actually got a little bit mixed up in translation. My name is actually Lee Robertson. Sorry. I am a student at Central Michigan University in my 5th year. I'm an integrated public relations major with a minor in journalism, and I'm fired up to help get Democrats in office so that they can put an end to the corruption, greed, and divisiveness of the current Republican administration. Senator Bernie Sanders has been an active voice for progressive change in this country for many years. I am so thrilled to have him here today, encouraging people to use their own voices by voting Democrats into office. On behalf of the One campaign, I am excited to introduce Senator Bernie Sanders.
Hello, everybody. And Lee, thank you very much for the introduction. And let me start by saying this. I know that many of you have heard that this is the most important election in our lifetimes. This is the most important election in the modern history of America. And some of you may be thinking, well, this is hyperbole, not really true. It's important, but not the most important. Well, you know what? It is the most important election in the modern history of this country. And Michigan can make all of the difference. As many of you know, 4 years ago, Donald Trump won the state of Michigan and your 16 electoral votes by 11,000 votes. That is not a whole lot. 11,000 votes. And everyone expects that the election in Michigan is going to be very, very close this time around. So it is imperative that we have the largest voter turnout in the history of the state of Michigan, that people come out and say, no, we cannot live with 4 more years of Donald Trump. We're going to elect Joe Biden, and we are going to do everything that we can in the next 3 or 4 days to make that happen. Now, the differences between Biden and Trump are quite clear. In terms of the economy, Biden believes that we should end starvation wages in America and pay workers at least $15 an hour. He believes that women should receive equal pay for equal work. He believes that it should be easier for workers to join unions. Donald Trump believes in none of that. Trump, in fact, is very proud of the fact that he gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and large corporations. Joe Biden believes that we have got to invest heavily in rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. And it's not just a water system in Flint. It is water systems all over this country. It is roads, it is bridges, it is tunnels, it is affordable housing. And what Joe Biden understands that when we invest in our infrastructure, we improve the lives of millions of people, and we can create a whole lot of good-paying union jobs. But it's not just the economy, where there are huge differences between Biden and Trump. Joe Biden understands how hard it is for working class young people to be able to get a college education. And that's why he is fighting to make sure that public colleges and universities, HBCUs, trade schools are tuition free for working class families. That's a big deal. And he also is going to take major steps to lower student debt in America. Donald Trump, well, you haven't heard a word from Donald Trump on that issue. In terms of health care, well, Donald Trump does have a plan. We've got to admit that. His plan is to end the Affordable Care Act and to throw 23 million people off the health care that they have. 23 million people off the health care that they have. Biden's plan is a little bit different. He doesn't want to throw people off of health care. He wants to expand health care to all people. He wants to lower the cost of prescription drugs in America so that we are not paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. In my campaign for president, I took a trip from Detroit, Michigan, into Ontario, Canada. And we found that insulin, which millions of people in our country desperately need because they are diabetic, sells in Canada for 1/10 the price than it does in the United States. Joe wants to deal with that issue. And here's another issue where the two candidates are miles apart. Donald Trump thinks that climate change is a hoax, that it is not man-made. Donald Trump understands that climate change is caused by carbon emissions and is an existential threat to our planet. And Biden is prepared to invest $2 trillion in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And by the way, creating a lot of jobs for young people and everybody else as we make that transition. Joe Biden understands that systemic racism in this country is very deep and must be dealt with. On the other hand, we have President Trump, who is, talking to white supremacists, sometimes in code language, sometimes not. We have a president, in fact, who is a racist. And now we have Joe Biden, who's going to do everything he can to combat racism in America. And Joe Biden understands that we don't lock children up in cages at the border, that we have got to restore the legal status of 1.8 million young people in the DACA program. And that is certainly not what Donald Trump believes. So on all of these issues, the economy, education, healthcare, climate change, criminal justice reform, fighting racism, immigration reform, providing a path towards citizenship for the undocumented, there is a huge gap between what Joe Biden believes and what Donald Trump believes. But then let me tell you something else as to why this campaign is, in fact, the most important in the modern history of this country. And it goes beyond the economy or education or healthcare or climate change. And that is, in Donald Trump, we have a president who is a pathological liar. It may very well be that he does not know the difference between a lie and the truth, because he lies every single day about everything. And right now, because he does not believe in science, he is going around the country telling people at his rallies that we are turning the corner on the COVID-19 pandemic. We are turning the corner. Things are getting better. Don't worry about it. Really? Yesterday, we had close to 100,000 people diagnosed with the virus, the largest single-day number since this pandemic began. But Trump is lying. And because Trump does not believe in science, downplayed this terrible pandemic from day one, insults scientists like Dr. Fauci, holds rallies today where people are going to be crammed together, often without masks, spread the virus in the White House. We need a president, Joe Biden, who actually believes in science, who is going to reach out to the best scientists in our country and the world to give us some protocols and some guidelines for every state in this country as to how we can finally successfully combat this virus so that our economy can return to normal. But above and beyond all of that, there is another reason why this election is the most important in modern American history. And that is, people can have differences of opinion on healthcare, education, or the economy, or climate change. But you cannot have a difference of opinion about whether or not we retain democracy in this country. So you have a president and a political party, the Republican Party right now, that are doing everything they can to suppress the vote. They are making it as hard as they possibly can for working people, for young people, for people of color to participate in the political process, putting up roadblocks all across this country. They are involved in voter intimidation. They are moving aggressively to make it hard for states to count the mail-in ballots that are coming in very, very large numbers because of the pandemic. And as some of you may know, when Donald Trump himself, and this is really unbelievable, this is unprecedented in American history. You know, a lot of presidents have run for re-election. Some have won, some have lost. But no president, when asked whether he would leave office if he lost the election, no president responded the way Donald Trump is. And he said, well, we'll see. No, you're not going to see. In a democracy, if you lose an election, you don't stay in office. So this election is more than just Biden versus Trump. It is more than healthcare and education and climate change and immigration reform and criminal justice reform and all the other important issues out there. They're enormously important. But this election is about whether or not we retain our democracy. And Republicans all over this country, they don't want you to vote. They don't want you to vote. And that is precisely why you must vote. Now, I know that it is sometimes hard for a person, you know, we all like to get along with our friends and, you know, we chat and socialize and we do what we do. It's kind of awkward sometimes to say, hey, did you vote? You didn't? Well, you got to get out and vote. I'll go with you. You know, it's kind of uncomfortable doing that. But I would hope that all of you realize that it is more important for you to be uncomfortable today than uncomfortable on Wednesday morning if you find out that Donald Trump won Michigan by a handful of votes. So what I am asking you in the state of Michigan, which is a key battleground state, because if Biden wins Michigan, and he has a good shot to do that with your help, if he wins Michigan, it's going to be, frankly, very hard for Trump to win this election. So what we need of you is to go out and do everything you can in the next 4 days to grow the voter turnout. Now, here's some bad news and good news. Bad news is that historically, younger people have not voted in the kinds of numbers that they should have. That's the bad news. The good news is that our younger generation today, many of you, are the most progressive generation in the history of this country. You are a generation which is anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobia, anti-xenophobia, anti-religious bigotry, a generation that feels very strongly about common sense gun control, a generation that feels very, very strongly and is leading the effort to transform our energy system to save the planet from the ravages of climate change. And the very, very good news about the younger generation today, according to news reports, is that all across this country, we're seeing young people beginning to come out in large numbers. Not large enough, but better than we saw in 2016. So young people, not only in Michigan, but all across this country, can make the difference because your generation is a progressive generation. It's not a generation that's going to be voting for Donald Trump. So what I'm requesting of you is that the next 3-4 days, please come out and vote. And the good news is that in Michigan, you can vote right now. You can get out of your room, get out of your home, and you can vote right now. You can vote Sunday, you can vote Monday, and you can register to vote during this time period as well. Michigan is trying to do the right thing to encourage people to participate in the political process, unlike many other states who are doing the wrong thing. So this is it. We have 4 days left in the most important election in the modern history of this country. The stakes are of extraordinary consequence for you, for your kids, for future generations, for the entire planet. So let us go forward together in the next 4 days. Let us bring out everybody we can to the polls. Let's get people registered if they're not registered yet. But let's do everything we can to bring our friends and neighbors out. Let's win this election. Let Michigan help lead the country in a new direction. Thank you all very much.
Wow. Thank you, Senator Sanders, for taking the time out of your day to address us and for taking the time out of your everyday and fighting for a better tomorrow for us all. You're a great reason why I decided to get involved in politics in the first place and ensure people who look like me are guaranteed the same American dream as those who cheat the game enjoy so much. Thank you very much. To my fellow young people on this call, we cannot have another 4 years of Donald Trump. We cannot have a continuation of the racist Muslim ban, which has affected so many individuals within my community. This policy is one of the reasons that made me realize that it wasn't right to stay quiet and stand aside. I needed to get involved. I deferred law school, joined the One Campaign campus team, a team of talented individuals whose purpose was solely to turn off the student vote all across the great state of Michigan, a call that many of you have answered and are answering today on this call. In 2016, the state of Michigan only lost by approximately 2 votes per precinct, or 10,704 votes. To give you an idea of how small that number is, Wayne State University, where I went to school, has a student population of around 24,000 students, half of which voted in 2016. And if the other half had voted, Trump would have lost Michigan. So by reaching out to as many voters as possible and encouraging people to vote, we have the chance of not only closing that gap, but exceeding it. As young people, we have the most influence as to the direction this country goes and are the most directly impacted by it in the coming years. Young people can make up the largest voting bloc, and we have an opportunity this year to make real change. I know each and every one of you on this call today understands that power and wants to make sure that your voice is raised, that you did something at this point in time to ensure you fought for a better future. Although being on this call alone isn't going to be enough to ensure we win on Tuesday, it's going to be reaching out to others and activating loved ones who don't usually get involved in politics and go out and vote. There are about 2 vital and full days to get involved before Election Day. 2 days where we can make sure we don't repeat 2016. We need you to join outreach events and help contact students across the state to make sure they vote before the polls close on Tuesday. Our event happening the soonest, where we'll be reaching out to voters, is our phone bank tonight at 6. There should be a link in the email you used to join this event where you could sign up for that. And if that doesn't work, all the upcoming events are also listed within that same link. Sign up for a time that works for you, and let's make sure we do it. Do it, get it done, be a part of the movement that will win on Election Day, and be able to say that I was there and I did that. We are the future of this country, so let's start shaping it how we see fit. Thank you very much.